This is the story of a person who was born out of wedlock, a genius who mastered more than 15 disciplines, and yet some of you probably only know him because of the Mona Lisa. And that is a tragedy. He was an engineer who sketched helicopters 400 years before flight, a biologist who dissected corpses in secret and mapped the human body with precision, a painter who captured the human soul in a glance, an architect, philosopher, stage designer, inventor, geologist, anatomist, musician. His name was Leonardo da Vinci. He wasn't just brilliant, he was uncontainable. And somehow, he never even finished school. Lucky, right? Ray Bradbury once said something similar to this. I don't believe in colleges and universities. I believe in libraries because most students don't have any money. Born out of wedlock in 15th century Italy, Leonardo was spared the rigid path of becoming a notary like his father, and instead wandered into fields that no one dared to combine. His genius didn't come from privilege or formal education. It came from something far more powerful, something I'll discuss soon. Leonardo proved that you don't need to be born in the Renaissance to think like him. You don't need a royal patron or a genius-level IQ. Yes, genetics play a role, but he gave us a way to become more intelligent than we ever thought possible. Author Michael J. Gelb distilled Leonardo's mental habits into 7 timeless principles. And if you apply them, you won't just learn to think like Da Vinci. You might just awaken the genius within yourself. So let's explore these 7 principles and how you can bring them into your own life. The important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. Leonardo da Vinci didn't just want to know things, he needed to understand them. From the arc of a bird's flight to the play of light on a face, he never stopped asking why, how, and what if. This relentless curiosity is what Michael J. Gelb, in How to Think Like Leonardo da Vinci, calls curiosita, the quest for lifelong learning. It's the first and most essential of the Da Vincian principles. Without it, the rest can't flourish. He was following in the footsteps of Socrates, who said, "The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing." But as we grow older, many of us lose that spark of curiosity. We fall into routines. The unknown starts to feel like a threat instead of an invitation. Leonardo never let that happen, and neither should we. So how do we reignite that flame? I'm reminded of Robert Frost's line, "I am not a teacher, but an awakener." And that's what we must do. Awaken ourselves. Start with a notebook. Leonardo carried one everywhere, filled with questions, sketches, and observations. He was a disciple of experience, constantly testing, observing, learning. Try Gelb's 100 questions exercise. Write down 100 questions in a single sitting. No editing, no filtering. The goal isn't to find answers, but to unlock wonder. Curiosity is a mindset. Choose a theme, nature, emotion, architecture, and observe it throughout the day. Spend time with children and notice how fearlessly they ask questions. Because curiosity isn't a luxury, it's a discipline, a way of being fully alive. You can never cross the ocean until you have the courage to lose sight of the shore. Leonardo da Vinci called himself a discepolo della esperienza, a disciple of experience. While others accepted tradition, Leonardo questioned everything. He believed real understanding came not from authority or hearsay, but through direct observation and action. This is the essence of dimostrazione, testing knowledge through experience. For Leonardo, learning meant trial, error, reflection, and insight. To apply this principle in your own life, start here. Ask yourself, where did they come from? Have I ever tested them? Don't just accept ideas, engage with them. Ask, do I know this? Or was I told this? And most importantly, don't fear failure. Leonardo saw mistakes not as setbacks, but as portals to discovery. He reminded himself, obstacles do not bend me. To think like Leonardo is to test, to question, to observe, and to grow. Genius doesn't come from knowing more. It comes from daring to find out for yourself. The world is full of magic things, patiently waiting for our senses to grow sharper. Leonardo da Vinci didn't just think brilliantly, he sensed brilliantly. He saw more vividly, heard more acutely, felt more deeply. This heightened awareness, sensazione, was at the heart of his genius. He called the senses the ministers of the soul. His art and science were deeply rooted in observation. For him, creativity wasn't abstract. It was sensory. To cultivate your own sensazione, begin by paying attention. Truly listen. Taste intentionally. Smell curiously. Leonardo's notebooks weren't just filled with ideas, they were filled with sensory impressions. He was living a truth, later echoed by John Lubbock. What we see depends mainly on what we look for. Try this. For vision, shift focus from near to far. Study art, practice drawing. For hearing, sit in silence. Listen for layers of sound. For smell, inhale deeply. Explore unfamiliar scents. For taste, savor slowly. Compare subtle differences. For touch, feel textures. Engage with the physical world around you. Blend your senses. Draw what music feels like. Cook while engaging every sense. Creativity thrives where the senses intersect. Sensazione isn't just for artists, it's for anyone who wants to live more fully. Because when we awaken our senses, the world reveals its depth. And so do we. The art of life is a constant readjustment to our surroundings. In Italian, sfumato means smoky or softened. Leonardo da Vinci used it to blur light and shadow, most famously in the Mona Lisa's elusive smile. But sfumato is more than just a painting technique. It's a mindset, one that embraces uncertainty and paradox, not as problems, but as gateways to wisdom. Leonardo didn't need every answer. He welcomed contradictions, joy and sorrow, strength and weakness, clarity and mystery. Instead of forcing neat conclusions, he stayed open, fluid, and original. To cultivate your own sfumato, begin with what Gelb calls confusion endurance. Reflect on life's paradoxes. Have your deepest joys ever grown from grief? Can you hold both without canceling either? List your personal strengths and weaknesses. Are they linked? Does assertiveness sometimes become impatience? As you explore curiosity, test beliefs, and sensazione, you'll meet the unknown. That's where sfumato becomes your guide. Sfumato teaches us to stay calm amid complexity, to move beyond black and white thinking. Leonardo didn't fear the unknown. He thrived in it, because that's where true creativity begins. There is an art to science and science in art. The two are not enemies, but different aspects of the whole. Leonardo da Vinci didn't just paint. He dissected cadavers, designed flying machines, engineered military tech, studied botany and geology, and even imagined contact lenses. He didn't separate art and science. To him, they were two expressions of the same mystery. Art and science invites us to follow this path, to think with both logic and imagination, to blend analysis with intuition, to become whole-brain thinkers. One great tool for this is mind mapping, a nonlinear visual technique Leonardo used naturally, and which was later popularized by Tony Buzan. Start with a central topic. Draw a word or image in the center of a blank page. From the center, draw curved lines like branches. On each branch, add a keyword or simple image. Let ideas flow. Add smaller branches, symbols, colors. The messier and more visual, the better. It keeps your brain fully engaged. Leonardo's notebooks weren't neat. They were sprawling networks of sketches, musings, and discoveries. Arte scienza means seeing the world like this, not as isolated parts, but as a living web of connected patterns. Creativity thrives when both hemispheres of your brain are in conversation. That's how Leonardo thought, and how we can too. The body is your temple. Keep it pure and clean for the soul to reside in. Leonardo da Vinci wasn't just a genius, he was strong, agile, and graceful. He could reportedly bend horseshoes with his hands and walked for miles. But more than strength, he cultivated poise, balance, and physical presence. To think like Leonardo, you must also learn to move like him. People even said his walk might have been the most graceful they'd ever seen. He saw the body as a sacred instrument. His famous Vitruvian Man wasn't just a drawing, it was a philosophy. Understanding the body's proportions brought him closer to understanding the divine. To awaken your own corporalita, begin with the fundamentals. Care for your body. Walk daily, stretch often, sleep well, eat mindfully, and work on your posture. Leonardo understood that the mind and body are inseparable. Try figure sketching. It deepens your connection to movement, gesture, and proportion, both in others and yourself. Practice ambidexterity. Leonardo could use both hands with ease. Try brushing your teeth, drawing, or writing with your non-dominant hand, or even both at once. He swam, fenced, studied human and animal movement, and even left timeless health advice like, beware of anger, chew well, exercise moderately, rest your head, eat only when hungry, sup light. The final principle, cognizione, is perhaps the most profound. It's the awareness that nothing exists in isolation. Leonardo's genius wasn't just his range, it was how he wove everything together. One of his most famous insights? Comparing the flow of water to the curls of human hair. That one connection helped him draw both with uncanny realism. This kind of pattern seeing lies at the heart of all creativity. To cultivate cognizione, try this. Make strange connections. Compare a giraffe to coleslaw, a song to a memory, a hand to a leaf. The goal isn't accuracy, it's exploration. Seek patterns. When faced with a challenge or idea, ask, where else have I seen this? Pattern recognition is the gateway to insight. Leonardo reminds us, breakthroughs don't come from thinking harder, but from seeing wider. Art and science, logic and love, self and world. He didn't just draw connections, he lived them. As he once wrote, when the tiniest bird alights on a tree, the whole world is affected thus. So step back, see the threads, feel the rhythm of connection pulsing through all things. Because in the end, to think like Leonardo isn't just to create like a genius, it's to live like one, awake, aware, and deeply, beautifully interwoven with the world.